You're watching Court TV Live. I'm Julia Janae, and we are going back into a Georgia courtroom where a woman is standing trial for the death of her 13-month-old daughter, Hannah. Defendant Chloe Driver is accused of stabbing her daughter, Hannah, multiple times with a knife in the neck. We just heard from the ER doctor about those injuries. We have a mother who's there inside of the courtroom who has pleaded not guilty because she says she was insane at the time, stating in court documents that she was in the midst of a psychotic episode at the time. Who we're going to hear from now could go towards this defense of this woman being influenced by this polygamous group that she had been with since she was a teenager. It's another man who was in this group, not the father of her child, not the one that she was married to along with two other women, but another man who was in that group. His name is Jason Spillars. Let's listen.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I promise that I will be honest with you.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have some opposition to swearing? Is that the concern?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Can you affirm that you will be honest and tell the truth today?
I just told you that I would be, and I will be. I will be completely honest and transparent in regards to the matter of which we're here today.
Okay.
And my experience with this circumstance.
Okay. Great. And can you state your full name?
Jason Allen Spillars.
All right. How old are you, Mr. Spillars?
36.
All right. And you're wearing orange.
Yeah.
Are you in custody at this time?
Not in Cherokee County.
Okay. Do you have pending charges somewhere else?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And does it have anything to do with this case?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And the only reason I'm asking you that is, have we made any kind of deals with you or discussed your charges with you in any way?
No, actually, you made it very clear that you're uninterested in the charges that I have because it has nothing to do with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm not going to ask you anything else about that. Okay. So I want to know how you know Benjamin Ben Michaels.
I call him Z.
Okay.
And I call Chloe Alexis Driver Kawani. Those are the names of which they were introduced to me as.
Okay.
So just to relieve confusion for the court and for the jury, these are the names that I still call these people by.
Okay.
So I just want to make that very clear so there's no confusion. And maybe I just want to make that very clear. So Z, I met Z in April of 2020 through an associate, and we met because of an interest in trust law and using trusts to legally incorporate yourself to minimize risk of obstruction by the government, like in the forms of taxes and being able to hold your properties and assets in a trust and making them safer. And there's a whole lot to that. So, I mean, how much would you like for me to talk about that? That's just the nature of how I met him.
Okay, and that's great. And I'll just keep asking small questions till we get to all the information that we need.
Sure.
You said that you had the interest in the trust law, but how did you actually come to know him? How did you forge that connection? Did you meet him somewhere in particular?
What do you mean? Like
how did you come to know he exists?
Through Peggy Schindler.
Okay, so you met him through a mutual contact?
A mutual friend.
Okay.
Yes. I saw Peggy in Whole Foods.
Okay.
And she was telling me about the trust.
Okay.
But she perhaps doesn't have the vernacular or the capacity to explain it. Mm-hmm. And so Z does, so I spoke with Z, and and then Peggy gave me the trust, and I began a relationship with Z from there. Okay,
and you said that was April of 2020?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and so going forward for the rest of this questioning, I'm going to refer to Benjamin as Z.
That'd be great.
Okay,
yeah, to avoid confusion for everyone.
Okay,
Thank you.
And Chloe will refer to as Kuwani?
Kuwani, yes.
That's how you
spell that, please.
Kuwani, K-U''A''N''I.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And is that how you were introduced to them?
Yes.
Okay, and is that how you knew them through the entirety of your relationship and still know them? Okay. So in April of 2020, when you met Z,
Yes.
was that an in-person meeting when you first encountered
Yeah,
him?
it was.
Okay, and where physically were you?
In a park. We met in a park in South Asheville.
Okay, in North Carolina?
In North Carolina, yes.
Okay. Was he living there or staying there at that time?
Yeah, he was staying with Peggy.
Okay, and when you met him, did you become aware of his relationship status?
Yeah.
Okay, and what did you learn about his relationship status?
That he has 4 wives, actually.
Okay.
And that he practices polygamy.
Okay.
Is that the question? Is that the answer you were looking for?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Sure.
At that time, were you in a relationship?
Yes, I was.
And did you exercise any type of polygamy?
No.
Okay. And so when you initially met him, did you come to know his wives?
Not initially, but we did later. I believe I met Kwani briefly in May, but we really spent some time together in late May.
Okay.
When I went down to Florida to visit them with the girl that I was with at the time.
Okay. So you had a girlfriend at the time?
So we can call her my girlfriend, but
Okay.
she was living with me, and I mean, I guess you could say that I have always believed in plurality as well, that men should have multiple women, but I was never in a committed. I was with Jen; she lived with me,
Okay.
and I took care of her. I provided her. She didn't work, so I provided her with food and shelter and safety and companionship and love, but it was never in our agreement that I wasn't allowed to see other women.
Okay.
So.
And as it relates to Z and his relationship, who were his wives that you came to know?
So their given names on their birth certificates would be Chloe Alexis Driver, Jessica Lee Kafijian, and Sarah Stiles.
Okay.
But those women will be referred to as Kuwani and Anna Gamliana and Shaylig, respectively, because those are their chosen Hebrew names.
Okay. Tell me about Jessica. You said, what does she go by as her chosen name?
Gamliana.
Gamliana?
Yes.
How do you spell that?
Gamiliana. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look at it.
Okay.
Gamliana, yes.
And you all called her Gami?
Gami or Anna, she prefers now.
Okay.
Because she says that people have a hard time pronouncing Gami and they question her, so she goes by Anna now.
Gami or Anna. Okay.
Yes.
And is that a decision that she made to change that from Gami to Anna?
Yes.
Okay. Because
like I said, she says that when she introduces herself as Gami, people say, what? God. And so she just goes by Anna now.
Okay. And then Sarah is the legal name.
Shaylig.
Shaylig?
Shaylig.
How do you spell it?
Sheilig. It's a Hebrew word.
Shaylig?
Shaylig. It's
Okay.
a Hebrew word, yes.
All right. So when did you meet Kawani, Gami, and Shaylig?
Like I say, I think I actually met Kawani and Gami in May before they left, like briefly at Peggy's house.
Before they left North Carolina?
They left North Carolina to go to Florida, but
Okay.
I can't remember. It seems like I did. So you're asking me, this is like 5 years ago almost. So, whether I met them before I went to Florida, I can't remember. It feels like I did, but that's kind of irrelevant because we went to Florida, Jennifer and I, this girl that I was with at the time.
Okay.
We went to Florida to visit them and stay with them.
All right. Do you know when that was that you went to Florida to visit and stay with Z? And
It was after Kwani's birthday, which is the 18th.
Okay. Tell me when Kawani's birthday is. 18th of what?
May.
Okay. So after May 18th of 2020, you and Michelle?
No, Jennifer.
Sorry, Jennifer.
Yes.
You and Jennifer went to Florida.
Yes, we did.
And did you stay with Z and Gami?
No, we stayed in our van.
You stayed in your van. Okay.
Yeah, but we spent all of our time with them though. Like they were staying in a motel at the time.
Okay.
In Nokomis Beach.
Where?
Nokomis Beach, Florida.
Where's that?
It's by Venice. It's like south of Sarasota.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that when you first met them, they were in North Carolina, and then they went to Florida, that they were staying in hotels. for the duration of your relationship with them, was that routine for them to kind of move around or travel or stay in different places?
Yeah, they were moving around a lot at the time.
Okay.
From what I understood, but they had been in, I can't recall what they were doing before that, but they stayed in Florida and then they went to Connecticut and they would stay in different places for like months at a time. I know that they stayed in Florida for months. After we left Florida, they stayed there for at least another month, I think.
Okay.
And they would stay in one place, like a singular location for a few months, and then they would go to the next location wherever they decided to go. I know that Kwani and Z had been in Myrtle Beach together for a pretty extended amount of time in Virginia Beach. That's where they met Gamliana. So they stayed in these places for extended periods of time.
Okay, so you're aware of Florida, North Carolina, Connecticut, Virginia?
Yes.
Anywhere else?
Gosh, I don't know.
Did they ever spend time in Tennessee?
I don't think any extended time. I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
So.
And so you indicated sometime in May of 2020 you went down to Florida and spent a lot of time with them?
Yes.
Okay.
We spent a week down there.
A week?
Yeah, about
Was
a
that
week.
the first time you saw Benjamin with all three of the women?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you first met him and learned that he had 3 wives, sort of what was your thought process on that arrangement or situation?
I thought that was really interesting because, usually you only see that with religious cults like Mormonism. Even though, scripturally, even, old Jewish and Christian tradition promotes plurality. Like it's promoted in scripture that men have multiple wives. Like it's written about all through the Bible.
So clear there from Jason Spillars' testimony. He doesn't see himself as being in a religious cult or a cult of any kind. Let's bring back in trial attorney Krista Ramey. Krista, he's someone who clearly behind bars on an offense. We were able to look up in his background that he's got an assault on a female charge from this year and some communicating threats ones in past years. So that may be what his current incarceration is for. How do you think he's coming across so far? And what we've heard up until this point, we know there's more ahead, but up until this point, is it showing what the defense wants about this group that the defendant is going to be saying or sharing was abusive and coercive?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I wrote down that Jason Spillars seems nice and honest. That's what I wrote down when I was taking notes as he was testifying. He actually comes across as a really likable guy. And to learn, Julia, that he's, incarcerated for assault on a woman, I'm like, oh, God, that doesn't strike me as to what I'm watching on the stand as he's testifying. So he's coming across very nice and normal, like someone that you would interact with and not be, think that he was odd or off in any way or part of some kind of bizarre cult. So, to your question, how is this helping, the defense's theory of the case? I'm not sure. That does, in Georgia, it's not, you have to show that you don't know right from wrong. So being in a cult or being a little crazy just isn't going to get you over that finish line on a defense for insanity here. So, let's see what he has to say. But right now, I don't know that he has helped the defense any, and he certainly probably is helping the prosecution.
Yeah, he does come across in a way that is engaging. It's hard to look away when he's speaking about what you can tell he's very proud of, the lifestyle that he has with other people. Let's get to a break. We'll get to more of that testimony from someone who knows the defendant from around the time that this incident happened.
Everybody says I went to the wrong crowd, but I think I was the wrong crowd.
Nobody in this world loves you like your parents.
And he said to me, wouldn't it be cool if I came with her into that party?
I couldn't get out of my head. I couldn't stop.
Which do you think you are, sick and treatable or irredeemably mad?
Interview with a Killer. Season finale, Sunday, 8/7 Central. And don't miss the new season coming in 2025, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are watching day 2 of the cult baby murder trial happening in Georgia. Defendant Chloe Driver is accused in the death of her daughter, Hannah. The incident happened back in December of 2020. Officers say they found both Hannah and Chloe in an upstairs bedroom, both suffering from stab wounds. The defense says she's not guilty due to reason of insanity. This is a presumed attempted murder-suicide. Let's head back into the courtroom now. We're listening to testimony from an acquaintance of the defendant, Jason Spillars.
But you don't really see it that much anymore, perhaps in Mormonism only. And I had spoken with Z extensively about what was happening with his his wives in this situation, and I found it pretty interesting because he was providing care, all of the things that a man is supposed to provide for a woman. Like I said, and it was kind of like something that I was interested in because, like I said with Jen, I provided Jen with food, a place to shelter. She didn't work. I provided her with companionship and love, and I listened to her, and I was affectionate towards her, even though I was never in a committed relationship. But it's like, the value of having a wife is profound, like the value of having that intimacy that perhaps couldn't be achieved through a non-marital relationship. And so Z had basically taken what I found to be what I wanted in life was plurality, but also incorporating the deep intimacy of marriage with multiple women. And I thought that was highly interesting, and I was very curious to see how that played out and how that worked. And so was Jennifer. Honestly, she's like, whoa, like multiple wives, really? Wow, that's different. Like we should totally go hang out with him. So we did. So we went to Florida. Sorry, I'm gonna adjust myself.
You're fine.
My niece.
And you said you were kind of interested to see how it played out
basically, we're talking about the social dynamic of a circumstance like that, which I think is really where most people go with that. When they hear about polygamy, most individuals will question the social dynamic of such relationship, and how does that work? What is the social dynamic between the women, and the social dynamic between the women and the women and the men? I mean, you can see these types of shows. There's shows on television now that promote polygamy and
like Sister Wives.
Like Sister Wives, yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of like to see a first-hand perspective of that, of somebody who's really living like that. I thought was highly interesting. I was very interested in what these women had to say and what they were about.
Okay.
So was Jennifer.
Tell me, you said you were interested to hear what the women had to say and what they were.
Well, yeah, I was just curious how they interacted with each other.
Okay.
So.
From May of 2020, when you said that you and Jennifer went to Florida and started spending time with them, how much time did you spend with Z and the 3 women from May until December of 2020?
Oh, well, there's a lot. Okay. I mean, so I went to go see them in May, and then I broke up with Jennifer. I broke it off with Jennifer over the summer, so she actually never saw them again.
Okay.
And then I stayed in Connecticut at Z's parents' house at the Joyce home in Connecticut in September for, I think I was there for about a little over 2 weeks.
Tell me about his parents. What do you know about them?
Oh, I love the Joyces. They're good. Mike Joyce is great. Is a good man. They're essentially Michelle Joyce is they're very powerful people. They're really intelligent. They're highly intelligent people, highly well spoken about their traditions and values, and they're very warm and open and welcoming folks.
Are they his biological parents still married?
Yes.
Do you know what they do for a living?
Michelle sells real estate, and Mike works at a factory.
Works at a factory?
Like a machine shop.
Okay. So you said you went to Connecticut and you stayed at his parents' house?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And how much time did you spend at his parents' house?
Like I said, I was there for a little over 2 weeks, I think.
Okay. Was he there with the 3 women as well?
Kawani and Gamiana were staying there, and Shaylee was there sometimes, but her parents also live in Connecticut, so she was at her parents' some too.
Okay, so Shaylig's parents are from Connecticut as well?
Yeah, they live like, I don't know, it's like 45 minutes down the road in Southbury.
Okay, so Gami and Kawani and Z and you spent time at his parents' house?
We sure did.
While Shaylig spent time with her family?
Yeah, I was sleeping in my van. Again, I had a van that I stayed in.
Okay.
And so I was sleeping in the driveway in the van.
And was it, from your observations, was it common for these women to go spend time with their families outside of their relationship with Z?
I mean, if they wanted to.
Okay.
I don't think, I mean, I didn't really get the feeling that Kawani or Gamiana were very...
Well, we're hitting the pause button on this testimony.